Peace of the Lord be with you. This is the Son of the Most Powerful YouTube channel. And I want to talk about some of the mental programming that men have been subjected to that has made them more oriented towards romance and less oriented towards fighting the dragon, becoming battle oriented, right? Uh, your mission is to pursue God, and instead you're focused on pursuing the girl, right? And I've made this mistake before, so I'm not casting judgment upon anybody, but I just want to kind of draw your attention and open your mind to how society has programmed your mind, okay? Into this, it's an effeminate state, truly, because when you're living your life in pursuit of a woman, of a human who is a creature of God, a God's creation, God's most beloved creation. You know what I mean? Above all things created. But still, and I'm talking about humans. I'm not talking about women specifically. But your life pursuit must not be solely for the purpose of finding a woman or finding the consolation of having a woman, because even women don't want that mindset for you. They're never going to come out and tell you that. But like a man who is afraid of losing his woman, like, and is too attached to her, she can sense this, and like it causes most women to disengage emotionally, you know, or to lose interest. This is also, I believe, a perfection of nature, because your focus has to be on the Lord, man. God has to be your number one. And if God's not your number one, and your attachment is to temporary, fleeting things, relationships, romantic experiences, sexual encounters, and anything that is of the sort, you're gonna waste a lot of time, man. You're gonna waste a lot of time. So, what are some things that you can do instead? You know what I mean? I made a video earlier about embracing male loneliness. Okay, and so I really believe that this is actually a huge advantage that you can have, because if you look around at the men around you that have relationships, that have marriages, they cannot move as swiftly as you can, because they have to take into consideration their wife and their children. Okay, and so that causes them to be stagnant or hesitant with certain things. You know what I mean? So the thing about being alone, being single, not having a family yet, all right, your focus should be on starting a business. Okay, why should you start a business? Um, because right now it's happening in the workforce. A couple things, you know. Me, I'm a millennial. I was born in '94. Okay, so at this time, the men that are older than me, than myself, they don't. The general consensus is they don't want to teach somebody that doesn't know, that doesn't have experience. As much initiative as you have, they don't want to take you under their wing. For them, it's an inconvenience. It's it's more effort they have to put in. They're already as business owners, supervisors, they got a lot of things they got to deal with on a daily basis. You know what I mean? So for them, they rather go without and find somebody with experience that or that already knows how to do the job, and they rather hire them as opposed to teaching somebody new, even though that person like has really great qualities. Again, initiative, willingness to work, willingness to show up. Uh, that has really lost its value today in the workforce. And people are not looking for that. You know what I mean? And then that's for a few reasons. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that it should be different. I think if you reframe it to where it's just like, well, the fact that all these doors always close on me, like, force me to get resourceful and force me to learn a new skill, force me to get on YouTube University. You know, that's what I like to call it. I like to call it YouTube University because you're learning a lot that they don't teach you in school. You know what I mean? And that the knowledge that you can get from the internet and from watching videos on YouTube, which I have done more than half my life at this point. YouTube's been around to my awareness. You know, I've been aware of YouTube since like 2005. Okay, or like 2006. That's when I became aware that YouTube existed. But yeah, YouTube University, man. You gotta lock in and learn a skill on YouTube. If you find that all these doors are closing, that these older guys don't want to give you a hand, they will not. Most of them, you know. It's very few the people, the older guys that I have met, and I'm really grateful to have met those guys that say, hey, you know, I can see he's a good kid. Like, let me help him out. You know what I mean? But yeah, for the most part, people they don't really care. You know, it's a man's world. You gotta, yeah, at the end of the day, you gotta just figure it out. And so, with that said, um, yeah, start a business. You know, solve a problem. Find something in your community, like what people are consuming, and do some research. If you have to enter the workforce for a short period of time and save some money, um, you know, that's not the route I recommend. But you know what state of life you might find yourself in. You know what I'm saying is like start getting your gears going. Start figuring out like what you can do to solve a problem, to help people, to you know, find a business that is like that can help you cultivate virtue. You know, don't don't get into, you know, the cannabis industry, or don't save money to open up a liquor store or like a fast food restaurant. There's other businesses that you can open that are of a greater benefit to people. You know what I mean? I think as far as those other businesses I previously mentioned are concerned, I feel like we got plenty of those. We don't need any more of those. We need you know, for like more establishments that help people build themselves up. Okay, and you can do it by the grace of God. You can do anything. It's just like I have made videos about you gotta surrender to God first. But yeah, start thinking of a business. It's better that you employ yourself. You know what I mean? Other than the fact that people don't want to train you or start from scratch in training you in something specialized, or even like if it's a job position. Um, Aside from that, in the workforce, supervisors they don't want somebody that will come in and make things better. They just want like they just want a slave, bro. They want a number. You know, somebody who is just another number in the system, who will come and just mindlessly do the job. They don't want opinions. They don't want you to have input. They don't want you to have like, I mean, I don't even want to go as far as to say like they don't want you to have an identity, but that's not important for them. What's important for them is like that you produce, and that's it. You know, and you don't ask questions, you just do. And the thing is, like, the supervisors, they get promoted. Ultimately, there are people that they kissed up to the boss. They're not really qualified. They just make the boss feel superior. They make their uplines feel good. And so these are people that the owners of a company or the investors of a company want to keep around. People that like make them feel good about being big, being bosses. You know what I mean? They're not really looking for people that are qualified like before, like in previous decades. You know what I mean? And so as a result, a lot of these environments are really toxic, and the standards are really low. They're very mediocre. There's a lot of mistakes that are made on a daily basis, um, and yeah, it's not good for you as a child of God who is like pushing for excellence, trying to be better, trying to make systems more efficient and functional. And yeah, these environments are, I would say, they're good proving grounds for virtue, because like it tests you to not conform to your surroundings, or to conform to the way people speak in there, or the way people carry themselves. It really is a test. Are you really willing to be a child of God, and not immerse yourself in worldly things, and in worldly uh, slang, or I heard somebody call it ebonics. You know what I mean? But just like expressions like that, you're no longer properly spoken. You're somebody that is speaking ignorance. You know what I mean? Because you're surrounded by ignorance. These are environments where ignorance thrives, and people are very vulgar. People are very you know their minds are highly over sexualized, overstimulated. A lot of these people have addictions. Um, and yeah, it's not casting judgment, but it's like you gotta, or that's not my point in saying that. It's like you gotta acknowledge that these environments are not good for you as a Christian man. And it takes me back to like why you want to start a business is because you want to be more in control of who comes in to work, because at that point you will have employees, or you will have clients. Who you take on as a client, who you bring in as an employee. You know what I mean? You could have higher standards for the company, and therefore having like better paying clients. Um, you know what I mean? That your quality of work can be excellent without the worrying, or that worry that you will get fired for wanting to be excellent. You know what I mean? Because it'll intimidate your supervisor or whatever. That has happened to me a lot. You know what I mean? Which is why I'm not going back to the workforce. It doesn't matter that I have to be broke. It's not gonna be for much longer that I have to endure this. And believe me, if you put in your dues, if you hold out 1 or 2 years living that broke life, or decreasing your quality of life, I want to say quality of life, because it's not the quality of life. It's your attachment to material things. Okay, your attachment to need to have a Netflix subscription. Your need to be going out to theme parks or concerts, or even your need to be going out to restaurants, or to like having a drink with your buddies. Bi-weekly, every week. I don't know, 2 3 times a week. Your attachment to pursuing women. You know what I mean? So start a business, man. You got that's got to be like number one goal, and that already has a lot of goals within itself. You know what I mean? Back to the topic at hand, because initially I wanted to talk about the how you've been programmed, and I ended up talking about other things. But yeah, don't look for the girl, man. Start the business. Who else is the enemy right now? You gotta fight. If you have vices, if you have addictions, you know what I mean? Alcohol is a really sneaky one, because you could be drinking every day, you know, and it just be 1 or 2 drinks every day. But even that's enough to change your brain chemistry. You know what I mean? You can't. Alcohol is a literal poison. Even if you're not getting plastered every day, if you're drinking 1 or 2 drinks every day, or even 3 to 4 times a week, again, that's not a lot. But the fact that you do it so frequently, it's gonna over time rob you of your patience. It's gonna rob you of your concentration. It's gonna keep you from being able to do harder things. You know what I mean? Uh, so drinking, smoking, uh, sitting in front of the TV for hours, video games for hours. You know what I mean? A lot of people, I see a lot of Christians talk about moderation. You know what I mean? If you're somebody with an addiction of a history of addiction, this does not apply. You know, the moderation rule, unfortunately, does not apply to you. You know what I mean? It's like it's a meaningless pursuit. It's much more worthwhile to be totally free from these things. You will be more spiritually in tune with God. Um, and so focus on annihilating your vices. Okay, fight that dragon. And so now you got a business, you're sober, you're locked in. Work out. You got to be physically strong. You know, and just because you're a child of God and ultimately an instrument of peace. You know, meaning that if it comes down to it, and you got to get physical with somebody, it's going to be out of self-defense or out of the need to defend that which is most precious: your family, your wife, your woman, you know, yourself. So, but it's not to be aggressive. It's not to look for fights. You know, so to my point is you gotta be strong physically. Being strong physically also like makes your mind tough. It makes your mind resilient. It makes your soul obedient to the inspirations of the Holy Spirit. It makes it easier to adopt spiritual disciplines like fasting. You know what I mean? Meditation. Having a stronger body allows you to do all these things for a longer period of time. So, uh, very, very important. Now, what are some things that keep us from doing this? Okay, because I feel like I'm 17 minutes into the video. Instead of starting over, because everything I said is very valid, part of that process. Okay, but like I guess this is gonna be the second half of the video. It's like um, how we've been programmed, how we've been indoctrinated. Number one is music. Okay, and especially this is true if you're Hispanic. The fact of the matter is, a lot of the songs that are beloved and praised by a lot of Hispanics, they're love songs, they're romantic songs. You know, I would even say that that's true in on this side of the border. You know what I mean? In the U.S., a lot of young men are affected like by love music, music about getting girls is highly sought after. You know, this makes you really soft. Okay, it makes you like it gets you stuck into that feeling of euphoria, or into wanting that feeling of euphoria of having a woman, of having the consolation of being with somebody. And as a man, for as much as you have to suffer in this life, it doesn't really lend itself well for you to remain focused, right? It lends itself really well for your mind to become distracted and for you to become easy to control. Why? Because again, your eyes are not on God. Your eyes are not on the prize. Okay, your eyes are on fleeting things. Uh, Women are fleeting. Men are fleeting. Romantic experiences are fleeting. All these things are temporary. You know what I mean? And it's not preparing you for the fight. I hope you guys can hear me. It's not preparing you for the fight. Uh, you're a warrior. Okay, warriors, effective warriors. I'm gonna say they live a life of solitude. You know, more often than not. And that's not to say that there aren't warriors out there that don't have wives. I feel like it's the calling of most men to become husbands to wives. You know what I mean? You're not gonna do it by being a lover boy. Is my point. Okay. So stop listening to the love music. They're programming you to become soft, to desire a woman as your number one purpose in life. You know, and it's just not constructive. You're not becoming as strong as you could be in your mind. You're easier to control by the pulls of society. That's why we have a lot of effeminate men that they're very agreeable with women because of these love songs. You know what I mean? It's a huge part of it. Love movies, romance movies, rom coms. You know what I mean? They're called chick flicks for a reason, man. Men have no business watching those. You know what I mean? Um, a lot of these movies, they have a lot of false ideas as how a man should act in the presence of a woman, how a man should carry himself to get a woman. It explains why a lot of men exude that simp behavior. You know what I mean? It's subconscious. It's become subconscious. The movies have programmed us to feel like that, to act like that. You know, the Notebook is responsible for a lot of failed relationships. Ironically, you know what I mean? Because that's not reality. That's not marriage. Um, what I say is uh, what you call it. When it comes to marriage, love is part of marriage. You know what I mean? But it's not half of it. It's not even half of what it is. I would say it's a third of it at best. The emotional response of love. You know what I mean? Um, because you got what it is mostly is it's service to God the Father. As a man, you're carrying, you're in the care of His daughter. You know, you take care of her, you protect her, you provide for her, and the children that you guys bear for His glory, and you raise those children to be Christ-like and holy, in cooperation with God's grace. But it's not this romantic thing most of the time. You know, that doesn't mean that you won't love your wife. Of course, you're gonna love your wife because God is love. You know what I mean? But you're not gonna make your wife your number one. You're gonna stay true to your purpose. You know, and staying true to your purpose, you're actually more likely to keep your marriage healthy. You know what I mean? Because everything is in balance. You know, you're a man. You're pursuing your purpose. You're fulfilling your God-given purpose first. Okay, and that's providing for your wife and your kids. That's taken care of. Okay, as far as time spent with your wife, it's like you're in that childlike uh like state of play with your wife, and you have like fun engaging conversations with her, you know, like as a child, and that is what over time, over the years, keeps a marriage healthy, keeps a marriage engaging. You know what I mean? But it's not the romance, I guess, that you see in movies. It's a different kind of romance. It's romance that is well ordered through the Holy Spirit, through God Himself. You know what I mean? Because you got to think, back in the day, they didn't have these things. They didn't have that kind of entertainment. Okay, so we're not built for hours of consuming that stuff. Okay, it's really making your mind not suitable for that purpose of being a husband, of being a man of God first before all things. Okay, so music, the movies, vices, alcohol, weed is a really big one because it really effeminizes you. In recent years, uh, there is a specific kind of beer that became really popular. Beer is already really estrogenic, but India Pale Ales or IPAs or craft beers have become really, really popular in like the past, like I would say, decade or so. Um, it's become more mainstream. Excuse me. It's become more mainstream, and this beer is made with hops, which is the cousin to the cannabis plant genetically. So it's highly estrogenic, even more than regular beer brewed with barley and all that stuff. So stay away from beer. Uh, I mean, especially we're in 2026 now. Gen Z, is like leading the world in not drinking. So it's 2026. If you're still drinking, man, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Uh, not saying you can't ever have a beer again, but if you have a past of addiction, you cannot, you can, and you should not. Um, it's always going to be something. Uh, Sugar, snacks, snacking. You know what I mean? All these products that are artificial, got to stay away from them. We gotta lean more towards making stuff at home. Okay, home cooked, whole food meals. Eat more fish. Eat more dark greens. Consume more raw garlic. And ginger. Seek foods that will raise your testosterone. Um, because your testosterone is being depleted every day by these things. Okay. Uh, and The other thing is the red pill, man. We gotta drop the red pill. I feel like I used to be red pilled in the sense of the MGTOW movement, men going their own way, and all that. And the irony of becoming more masculine by means of the red pill is that you become more effeminate, actually, because you're still not putting your sexual urges under control. The red pill really, you know, is actually teaching you to behave like feminist women behave. You know what I mean? And to weaponize your sexuality as a man. And it teaches you that it's okay to live as a degenerate, slave to materialism, slave to money. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that money is bad, but the red pill, it really pushes you towards being super rich, so that you can just get whatever you want and dress like a king and dress royal and all this stuff. And like the thing is, it's self exaltation, right? He who exalts himself shall be humbled, but he who humbles himself shall be, God will exalt him. So you just got to keep that in mind, that if you're going to be somebody that's going to be hyper successful, you got to be able to put that into use for the kingdom. If you're red pilled, you can't do that, or you're gonna have a really hard time cooperating with God's grace, with Christian biblical teachings. So stay away from the red pill. Stay away from red pill teachings. Um, Women are not the enemy; they never have been. It's always been feminism and the ideology of feminism and the lies of feminism that have been the enemy. You know what I mean? The red pill is also your enemy. The red pill is not there to elevate you. The red pill is not there to make you a better man. So, and I know it's very, it's alluring. It's alluring as a man to have that control, to have the final say over your life, over all that. I fell into all that years ago before I came to the church. So I'm here to tell you, as somebody who has explored that to my detriment, and who has used those manipulative tactics to get women, you really attract the wrong kind of women. You attract a lot of damaged women, a lot of insecure women. You don't want to be dealing with those women, especially you don't want to be taking those women to bed. You don't want to be having children with these women. You will regret it for the rest of your life, and you will curse yourself and you will curse your future children. So don't do it. So I think that's a good second half of the video. First half, just to recap, is you got to focus on becoming a godly man. Okay, you got to focus on eliminating your vices and starting a business, so that you can be free to pursue God. Number one, and number two, you have a greater say over the quality of your work, the quality of your employees, the the reputation of your company, because ultimately God owns all of it. So you got to become business minded, you know. And just for future reference, because I feel like I think I have had this thought. It's like, you know, that this YouTube channel is going to get shut down because I'm waking the men up. And it's like, no, man, if everybody becomes entrepreneurs, tax-paying entrepreneurs, that's great for the economy. Okay. So, you know, for Big Brother watching this, like, we all win if the men rise and the men become better, more virtuous men. Everybody wins. God-fearing, God-oriented, Christ-centered men. Everybody wins. Um, obviously the kingdom of darkness is the one that has to lose in that. But yeah, truly, the world wins if we all become God-fearing, God-centered entrepreneurs that are here to help make the world a better place. And yeah, the second half of the video, we go into like how society has reprogrammed you, by romantic films, romantic songs, overly romanticized ideologies of love. Unplug from the Disney. I know Disney's been around for a long time. We all watched a Disney movie as a kid. Unplug from the Disney. It's ruining you as a man. You're a weak man subscribing to the Disney ideas, to saving the damsel in distress. Get rid of all that. You're not here to save no damsel in distress. You're here to serve and fear the Lord. You know what I mean? And to love God and to worship only God. Stay away from vice. Stay away from drugs. Stay away from garbage processed food. Exercise. You're actually training to slay the dragon, man. Just put that in your mind. The spirit is your sword. Okay? You may never carry an actual sword, because what you fight ultimately is in the unseen world. Okay? So I take that back. The rosary is your sword and the Bible is your sword. Okay? Those are your weapons. But you gotta lock in, man. You gotta lock in, is my point. Stay away from all these things. And we're gonna build each other up and become stronger men by the grace of God. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys at the next one. This has been the Son of the Most Sorrowful, and I pray in Jesus' mighty name that you guys have a blessed day by the intercession of Our Lady of Sorrows. God bless you guys. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you at the next one.